Basketball fans, welcome back. In this video, I'll be talking about Uganda. So Uganda, round of applause to Uganda. This is a team that have been able to dare to defy. They got their payback against Egypt and they're able to beat Egypt in their home floor. And it was kind of poetic because when I was doing research before making this video, I said, let me just go back to 2023 where all this madness happened. And let's get to understand what journey and what path the Ugandan team took to be able to lead them to this point. So Uganda, as we speak, they have the tickets to go to the Afrobasket. But going back to 2023, there was a lot of hype around Uganda because number one, they hosted the 2023 Afrobasket qualifiers in their backyard, and they were able to go ahead and do the unthinkable. So they finished with a 3-2 record, and Uganda were a strong side, and they were a dark horse team that nobody saw them coming like that, and they were just going ahead with their slow rebuild. And who would ever thought that they will be able to go ahead and be the place where they are right now. So Uganda in the 2023 Afrobasket qualifiers, which I'm going to reference, then we go to the Afrobasket itself. They were able to finish with a 3-2 record. So in the first game that Uganda played, they lost to Kenya. And that game, I must say, even with the loss, it was a very close one. Then they went ahead, and in the second game, they were able to beat Egypt, 86-85 the final score. So Egypt and Uganda have always had that dance, and they've always been going at it. And in the same tournament, they met again in the finals. But Uganda were able to whitewash South Sudan and Rwanda. Similar to what Uganda were able to do this go-around, they were able to whitewash South Sudan, which was not even close at this point. But in that go-around, Egypt were in foreign territory. They were in Uganda, and Uganda was defending home court, but they were not able to defend home court at that point, and they lost that game 74-65. But looking at even how they performed, it was not you can say Uganda were just, they just planted seeds and they were going through the motions because, it's a win or a loss. And the only team that Uganda lost to were Egypt and Kenya. And Uganda were able to get back on Kenya this year. So I'm not going to talk about Kenya because I've talked about them multiple times in multiple videos. This one will be primarily focusing on Uganda's performance. So Uganda, they're a good team and they're a good nation. And I must say they took steps in the right direction and took the path of development and understanding that they needed to show up when these opportunities arise. So when they lost to the finals, they still had a chance to play in the actual Afrobasket. So in the actual Afrobasket, Uganda did not disappoint. They finished with a 3-3 record, something that is quite impressive for an East African team. Kenya is an East African team, but the only record that they had in the 2021 Afrobasket was on 1-2 record. So you could see Uganda, they were very good. Uganda got stopped in their first game against Mali, 80-66. But if you look at the powerhouse team that they beat Senegal, 85-83. Then they beat Congo DR, 78-62 was the final score. But they got stopped in the quarterfinals by Rwanda, and they had to settle for classification games. They were able to beat Guinea in the classification game, which was a massive blowout, 85-44. But they lost to Mozambique, 88-62. So they had a 3-3 record, and you could see those are the reps that they needed. And they went ahead and used that as momentum because they were very active in the year 2023. And you can even see even the success that they are experiencing now. It's a culmination of learning from the experiences that they gained that time. Because the Afrobasket, it was a congregation of majority of the powerhouse teams going out there and duking it out to see who's the champion. Not the eventual champions was Nigeria, and Nigeria were able to make it to the Olympics. But you could see Uganda, they were a team that was not highly rated like that. They were not highly ranked. But out of the teams in East Africa, they came out on top. And fast forward to present day, this Ugandan team they just did the unthinkable. So in the first game, they played against Kenya. Uganda, straight out of the gate, dominated us, and it was not even close. 78-56 was the final score. I remember watching this game, and I felt like, Uganda looks like, at some point I felt like Uganda is a team that we can actually take. So it was unbeknownst to me that Uganda were very good, and I actually underrated them. But they're able to slap us back to reality. 78-56 was the final score. Then that game against that Uganda versus Egypt, it was a clutch game. Egypt were able to win it. So these games this year happened in Cairo, Egypt. So Egypt were in their backyard. And knowing for the fact that Uganda got beat in their backyard 2 years ago, they said to, return the favor. So Uganda, after getting stopped by Egypt in a clutch game, 65-62, they're able to go ahead and dominate South Sudan and dominate Burundi spectacularly. Then in the finals, we got that rematch that everyone waited for, Uganda versus Egypt. So this was the number 1 versus number two team. So Egypt at this time were 4-0, and Uganda were 3-1. So the nod was given to Egypt because they're defending home court. But little did we know that Uganda had an ace that they pulled out of their sleeves. And this game was very close. And I must say that Uganda's experience and Uganda's coaching staff knew exactly what they needed to do to be able to dispatch Egypt. And even looking at how good that the way Uganda played, it was so different from even the other teams that we saw, because nobody would have expected Uganda to come out of the gate and play like that. And it subsequently led them to win the whole thing. And I enjoyed it, and I took that game in, and it was one of the most favorite games I watched. And it was one of those games I can even look back to and just replay and just see an absolute masterclass that Egypt put on, that the Egyptian team was subjected to. And Uganda put them through that. So Uganda grabbed that ticket, and they will also be partnered with Angola, who also grabbed that ticket when they defended home court against Mozambique, and they're headed to the Afrobasket. So I'll also make a video talking about Angola as well, because those are teams that qualified. So looking at even how Uganda were able to get their revenge, remember in 2023, when the games were hosted in Uganda and Egypt were able to grab that ticket in Uganda's home soil, you could see the payback was already set, and the rematch, they got their rematch. And the mistakes that Uganda made at that time, they learned from it. Unlike my national team in Kenya, who learn from no mistakes and they take every game at face value without planning, leads us to having a 1-4 record. But I've debunked them multiple times in multiple videos. But all credit to Uganda. I've seen there was so much excitement. I saw the behind the scenes footage, which I've made available on TikTok and YouTube Shorts. Make sure to check them out. I must say, Uganda are the pride of East Africa. I know a lot of people can say, there are other teams that are better than Uganda, but in East Africa, Uganda, the Uganda women's team, the Gazelles, did their thing. They were able to get that ticket, which is the most important thing. So for my country, Kenya, I didn't have too much expectations in Kenya going ahead and winning it all because of the poor preparations, but I always vouch for the best team in the tournament, and that was Uganda. So, and Uganda being able to get their payback was very poetic because of what happened in 2023. So the activity that we have seen Uganda, the Gazelles have, especially in 2023, 2024, there was not much activity like that. There was that pre-Olympic qualifiers, but they were not part of it. But still, you could even see the preparations that they made prior to this tournament. They were able to go ahead and do the unthinkable. They went ahead and they made changes to what what they did in 2023, and they added much more knowledge and the ability to win games. That is what they did. So I am looking forward to seeing them in the Afrobasket, and it was a feel-good moment, man. I really, really enjoyed it, and it's something that should never be taken for granted, being able to play for Afrobasket. Playing for your nation in the biggest stage in African basketball. And also, having this event happening only in like after every 2 years gives you so much motivation to leave it all on the floor, because a lot of times these opportunities just do not show up every single time. So Uganda understood their assignment. Even I saw Ugandan fans who flew to Cairo and able to watch those games. So yeah, I mean, I also saw Sudanese fans were there, which was good, and I really enjoyed that because it was a feel good moment at that. So yeah, man. I mean, shout out to Uganda. Play they'll play in the Afrobasket, this year's edition of the Afrobasket, and I'm looking forward to seeing that, because man, you looking at how these players brought out their A game and played. You can see Coach Nick just did a very good job at that, and even being able to beat Egypt and getting their get back not only once but twice, you could see that those are steps in the right direction. I could even say that a lot of people never saw this coming, because there was that whole consensus that Egypt, because they're playing home court, they can be able to go ahead and do it because of the dominance that North African teams have had in basketball, both on the men's and women's side. Because in the Egyptian team, we had players who play for Al Ahly and a Sporting. And if you've been following those teams at the club level, you'll see that they have been dominating a lot. It's just that Al Ahly were not able to win it last year, and they got stopped by Fevrier Dabera from Mozambique. They lost it in the finals, but the previous two editions, it's been Egypt that have been dominating all through. Even in 2023, Egypt won the whole thing. But this year, the script just changed. You can see a team from East Africa won it. They can even say it marks a new era in basketball. And North African teams, some of the teams in Sub-Saharan Africa, East Africa, are starting to catch up to North African teams and how they play. So I mean, it's a feel-good moment. I must say, it was something that needed to happen, and you can see the rise of Uganda in African basketball, and they're taking a similar trajectory to what we have seen Nigeria take, Senegal take, Rwanda are in East Africa, but they are not as dominant. But still, you can even make a case that Uganda are on that path. So do drop me your comments down in the comment section on what you think about this. I mean, I'm going to talk to you guys in the next one. Peace out.